Coming up, arrests made following a shooting in Fitchburg.
And what two teams are set to face off in the World Series.
And more information on the Green Line derailment. Welcome to WEBN General News. I'm Daniel Lipof.
And I'm Lis Fonseca. Let's get into today's breaking news.
A man has been arrested following a shooting in Fitchburg that killed one person and injured another Sunday night. 32-year-old Gerard Hagerty of Townsend was charged with 2 counts of armed assault with intent to murder, assault and battery with a firearm, and possession of a firearm without the use of an FID card. The shooting occurred in front of an apartment complex along the 300 block of Main Street. After an hours-long standoff, Hagerty surrendered to authorities at 1 a.m. Monday.
The LA Dodgers took down the New York Mets 10-5 Sunday night and will face the New York Yankees in a historic World Series.
Making it all happen. There's a bouncing ball to second. Taylor's got it. Los Angeles is alive and they're headed to the World Series. Dodgers, Yankees in the Fall Classic.
This is the 11th World Series between the two teams. The last time they met on the baseball's biggest stage was in 1981 when the Dodgers prevailed 4-2. Game 1 is set for Friday, October 25th.
More information has been released on the Green Line train that derailed at the beginning of this month at the Lechmere station, injuring 7 people.
Issue. I'm definitely happy that the tracks aren't the problem, given the shutdowns from last year. I'm glad that they're actually working.
We're obviously.
Prior to the investigation, the MTBA thought it was human error, but now it was found that the train was going 36 miles per hour in a 10-mile-per-hour zone. It crossed a double red signal, a stop signal, and then a switch where the derailment occurred.
Cuban residents are still recovering after a hurricane swept over the island. For more updates on Cuba and international news, we have Vivienne Felber. Vivienne.
Thanks, Lis. Many Cubans face ongoing distress due to the island remaining without electricity days after a nationwide blackout due to Hurricane Oscar. While there is hope for the Energy Minister for power restoration by Monday or Tuesday, he acknowledges the hurricane will hinder recovery efforts. Some areas of Havana saw power restoration despite most of the population remaining in darkness. So far, no fatalities have been reported, but there have been reports of damage to buildings. Israeli airstrikes targeted a Hezbollah-linked financial institution in Lebanon. Since intensified strikes began last month, over 1,800 people have died in Lebanon. This, along with the attacks on Gaza, has prompted the United Nations to warn about the severe impact of the offensive on the Palestinian population, calling for Israel to comply with a UN court order against genocide. Meanwhile, the U.S. is investigating a leak of classified intelligence regarding Israel's response to Iran's missile attack that occurred earlier this month. North Korean soldiers have been filmed receiving uniforms and equipment at a training ground in Russia, confirming reports from South Korea's National Intelligence Service that 1,500 troops were sent for military training to be deployed in Ukraine. The Ukrainian president raised concerns that up to 10,000 North Korean soldiers could be involved. This shows an escalation in North Korea's international military involvement. Both nations deny arms transfer allegations. However, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has expressed solidarity with Russia's actions, highlighting closer cooperation between the two countries. That's all for now. Back to you at the desk.
The Israeli military confirmed the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been killed in a drone strike.
Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas who was killed in an Israeli military operation in Gaza yesterday, was a brutal, vicious terrorist responsible for the death of American citizens, Israelis, and civilians from more than 30 countries across the world.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he is working on a deal to free the hostages in Gaza. The 3 major Hamas leaders, whom the International Criminal Court warranted for arrest, are now all dead. The future of the victims in Gaza remains unknown. Netanyahu said he spoke with President Biden to work on a deal to free the hostages.
The Small Business Administration's disaster loan program has reportedly ran out of money after the increased demands of funding from the damages of Hurricane Helene and Milton. President Joe Biden said in a statement that people affected by the storm should still apply for the loans. House Speaker Mike Johnson emphasized that the program's funds would be replenished when Congress returns after the election in about 2 weeks' time.
One of America's largest companies, McDonald's, has been recently involved in the 2024 election campaign process. For more on politics, we have Chloe Fadem. Chloe.
Donald Trump pulled McDonald's into the political spotlight this past Sunday when swinging by a key state. The Republican candidate posted photos on social media of him working as an employee at one of the Pennsylvania franchise locations. He was seen using the fry machine and handing out to-go orders. Trump has previously accused Vice President Kamala Harris of lying about working a similar position at the food chain while in college. The competition between these two candidates continues to heat up as we approach Election Day on November 5th. Activists marched through Morehouse College in Georgia to protest SB 202, also known as the Election Integrity Act. In 2021, Georgia outlawed the act of handing out food or water to people waiting in line to vote. Violators can be punished with up to 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. As early voting is well underway, activists believe it is too late for change during this election, but are hopeful for future action. Nearly a dozen boxes of mail-in ballots were left unattended in an employee's car in Minneapolis this past week. Security footage verified that there was no tampering with any of the ballots. Republican Party officials were quick to circulate the news, raising concerns about security with mail-in voting. The county released multiple statements explaining the situation and how they will continue to handle it. Back to you at the desk.
The U.S. military are conducting airstrikes on weapons storage facilities in Houthi-controlled Yemen, targeting sites for used attacked vessels in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed that B-2 stealth bombers were employed in the strikes, which aimed to demonstrate U.S. military capabilities and deter other regional threats. The U.S. Central Command stated the actions were meant to weaken the Houthis' ability to conduct unlawful attacks on international shipping. The earlier reports indicated no civilian casualties. Coming up after the break, more information on the collapsed dock in Georgia that killed 7 people.
And information on this week's sunny forecast.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Welcome back. Georgia's Sapelo Island suffered a tragedy when a boat dock collapsed, killing 7 and hospitalizing 3.
We get brushed off. And we're people that know the safety on what Sapelo takes to operate, but we always get ignored about safety concerns.
What was originally an annual celebration of the island's history became a catastrophe. Up to 40 people were standing on the gangway boarding the ferry back to the mainland when it broke down, plunging at least 20 people into the Atlantic waters. Boats and helicopters rushed to the scene after the collapse to rescue survivors. Hey Daniel, are you excited for the weather to get colder this week?
I'm pretty excited, but shorts and t-shirts were fun while they lasted. For more on this week's forecast, we have Laina Gustafson. Laina?
Thanks, Daniel. Don't pull out your winter coats just yet. We're still seeing some major heat with today's high at 81, and tomorrow's conditions will still be warm with a high of 71. Temperatures are expected to hit a warm 74 degrees on Wednesday. Sunny to partly cloudy conditions on Tuesday and Wednesday will bring the lows down to 53. Expect chilly fall weather starting on Thursday with a high of 61. This will continue to drop on Friday with the temperature dropping to 59. Make sure to bundle up Saturday night as lows are expected to hit 37 degrees. That's all for this week's forecast. Back to you at the desk.
The 14-year-old boy and his father, who were charged after the deadly Georgia school shooting in September, have been formally indicted by a grand jury. Colt Gray, the suspected shooter, now has additional charges, including 25 counts of aggravated assault and 18 counts of cruelty to children in the first degree. The father and son are expected at the Borough County Superior Court on November 21st.
The biggest day in rowing took place on the Charles River this weekend. For more on the head of the Charles and more sports news, we have Kelly Egan. Kelly?
Thanks, Daniel. This weekend concluded the 59th annual Head of the Charles Regatta. It is the world's largest multi-day rowing competition held on the Charles River right across town. The race held over 1,000 athletes from around the world for dozens of races. Winners included locals from Cambridge, students from Harvard and Boston University, and alumni from MIT. NFL legend Tom Brady has been facing plenty of backlash from Fox fans. The retired player now owns 10% of the Las Vegas Raiders and debuted this NFL season as Fox's #1 sports analyst. Brady won't be able to criticize referees, sports organizations, or sit in on pre-game production meetings with other organizations. Brady's double booking leaves sports fans to wonder how he's able to balance both. The New York Liberties won the WNBA championships last night in Game 5 against the Minnesota Lynx. After losing to the Las Vegas Aces in the finals last year, the Liberty came to Barclays Center with a vengeance. They beat the Lynx in overtime 67-62 in their own city. This being the Liberty's first championship win. The game set several other records last night with the most TV viewer and arena attendance ratings. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Coming up, more on the information of tragic death of Liam Payne.
And insights on the new Boston soccer team's marketing strategy.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Welcome back to WEBN General News. A recent death has shaken up Directioners. For more on the latest entertainment updates, we have Emily Mole. Emily?
Thanks, Lis. On October 16th, former One Direction singer Liam Payne died at the age of 31 after falling from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The tragic incident occurred at the Casa Sur Hotel in Palermo neighborhood. Local authorities reported that Payne jumped from the 3rd floor after an emergency call that described him as, quote, overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol. Payne openly discussed his struggles with alcoholism, recently celebrating 6 months sober. His death was confirmed at the scene by medics. Authorities are still investigating. A sequel to the hit movie Joker released in the box office 2 weeks ago and has not done well. After only 2 weeks, they have $1.5 million in the US and $165 million worldwide. The sequel needs to earn at least $375 million in order to pay for the cost of the making of the film. There is a predicted loss of $150 million. The movie Wicked is set to release in theaters on November 22nd. However, Cynthia Erivo, who plays Athaba, had a strong reaction to an edited version of the movie poster, calling it, quote, the wildest, most offensive thing she has seen. The official movie poster shows her face clearly, while the edited poster resembles the Broadway show design, hiding the face of her character. Erivo defended the official poster, stating it honors the original, and that editing her face out is hurtful. That's all we have for entertainment today. Back to you at the desk.
The Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, a prominent biomedical research center, have announced 87 layoffs, 75 of which being in IT and software. The two departments are being restructured as the institute plans to, quote, shift its focus.
The National Women's Soccer League is coming to Boston. The team's name was revealed to the public, announcing it as Boss Nation FC. Soccer fans await the arrival of the new team as they are set to begin competing in 2026 in their newly renovated home, the White Stadium in Roxbury. The team was immediately met with backlash after releasing their promotional video and slogan saying, quote, too many balls. The promotion was accused of being too male-focused and transphobic. It has since then been taken down.
That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in to WEBN General News.
For more updates, visit our Instagram at WEBN General News or head to WEBN.TV. Have a good night.